Hello, welcome back to LIVENODING. In this episode, I'll be sharing with you how to create this kind of like a cyberpunk-ish, kind of like a neon light. It's like a traveling through time. I think it's pretty neat effects, but this is the simplest version that I could think of. Currently, I'm using Blender 2.92 Alpha because with this version we have emission strength, and that can control the glow of this emission. Very cool. And yeah, there's a lot of things you can. Here I'm using object info random to create random situations. Yes, you can play around with this. As for the procedural creation itself, I'm using stretch of nodes. There are many ways to do this actually. There's one that's more complex where you have curve and you kind of like just trim and segment the area to get the effects. If you look at this neon light, this laser beam, it's like they're kind of looping. That's because I'm using the modulo in time, with each one of them is slightly offset. So this is the node. It looks slightly complicated, but we start with just a cylinder. Okay, each one of them is just a cylinder, and if you see here with the matrix, it's just a vector lerp. So only two nodes really responsible for this vector lerp. What happening here is just simply a bunch of lines that's moving from A to B, and they're kind of looping. Okay, so this is I started with random vector. Let me reduce this to just 10. So this is the actual effects. It's working in Eevee, and yeah, and so the cylinder length is actually randomized here as well. I can make it this longer. It's just a cylinder, and the cylinder is traveling because of this vector lerp, and I'm animating the vector. So there are two positions: the original position of the cylinder and the one that's been moved 100 units to the top. I can change this to 200, so they're traveling a little bit more. And if you look at it from the top, they're kind of like resembling time machine. I think this is kind of neat. The rest of them is basically some stretch of thing. This modulo can control how fast it's actually looping or how slow. I set it to 10 before, so well, we need to be in the middle somewhere so we don't see the effects. It's stopping. Another way to do this, probably using particles, but I think this is the easiest. And the effects, the animation of the cylinder line itself is linear in this case, but it's okay. It can give you the effects. What else? Okay, so map range. This is mapping the range of frame that has been offset with random number with a modulo of 10. This is mapping the range, so it's go whatever this value you pipe in, it's gonna go back to 0 and 1, and it's gonna loop because of the modulo. So that's really pretty much it. There's nothing much. So like I said, if you want to do something that's a little bit more elaborate, maybe the motion of this path is not just straight line. You can change it into something different, like curve, and then you segment the curve over time, so it's kind of looping. I think this is a basic effects, but it's very very efficient to do it, to do what it has to do. So okay, so this is kind of like a time machine. Whoa, so bright. Here we go. That's a Blender 2.92 and Svedjok nodes to create this cyberpunk kind of time machine. All right, thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.